Good morning, everyone. Today we are diving deeper into nutrition, the third step on the health hierarchy of needs. We're going to be talking about the 5 goals that we work with implementing with our clients in order to build a superhuman physique and get in great shape. All that and more coming up. What's up, everyone? In case we haven't met, my name's Rad Eat. I am the co-founder of Unity Gym and co-creator of the UMS, the Unified Movement System, where we turn driven people into superhumans. And the way we get such astonishing results with our members is that we've created a program that has a balance between strength, flexibility, and cardio. It's very unique. If you want to know how we do it, grab one of our free blueprints, the Flexibility, Strength, or Nutrition Blueprint. There's a link in the description of this video or podcast, wherever you're consuming this content. And also, you're going to want to jump over to our Facebook group, the UMS Movement Mastermind, where we record these podcasts live, and you can ask questions and join in the chat. So, the last couple of weeks, we've been introducing the health hierarchy of needs, and if you don't know what that is, it's like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, but for health. And basically, it goes in order. First, we have motivation. First, we have to turn our spark, which is our goals, which gets us started. It's great to get us off the couch, but that spark has to turn into a burning desire. And only then will that motivation be enough to carry you through those dark winter days and keep you on track with your goals. Next, once we've got motivation covered, we have to build a healthy daily habit of exercise. Then we need to work on nutrition. Then we need to start building a great physique. And then from there, we move into movement mastery. So today we're talking about nutrition. Let's have a little look at who's on the stream first. I'm here by myself, and I am absolutely cooked from that bloody leg workout that I just did. So we've got Steve Kavanagh saying good morning. Good morning, Steve. Morning, Lee Clements. Morning, Jada. Morning, Yanni, tuning in from home. Morning, Katie McDonald. Morning to my beautiful wife, Alana, who's watching. And yeah, that's it. That's all I can see. We've got a few more people on the stream, but they haven't chimed in yet. So hope you guys are all doing well. Who joined in on that leg workout with me? I am. Mike did. I know Mike did. Grace Clements, how are you? How's your legs, Mike? I'm wrecked. All right, let's jump into this. So yesterday we spoke about, I introduced nutrition, and Yanni, being the busy bee that he was, he's gone a little bit deeper and written out what the 5 goals for nutrition are for this step. And I'm just going to copy and paste them into the, my wife's saying that my son is saying good morning. Good morning, Keanu. How are you, buddy? There you are. Good morning, sweetheart. So let's have a look here. Okay. Here we go. Oh, it didn't. Okay. Well, you can see what it is there. So we've got, first we've got learn how to eat to achieve a neutral calorie balance. Then we've got learn how to eat to maximize muscle protein synthesis. Then we've got learn how to eat to cultivate a balanced gut microbiome. Then we've got learn how to eat to reduce or abolish systemic inflammation. And then we've got untether yourself from food and maximize cellular autophagy, practicing daily time-restricted eating. And it looks like Yanni's written these in order of difficulty. Yanni, do you want to chime in and let me know? Did you do that intentionally? When I read that out, it looks to me like the way that I'd order those in order of difficulty, but you let me know. Is that just random? So let's go from the top. And first, I'll say if anybody's got any questions, anybody has any questions to do with nutrition, put them in the comments and I'll answer them for you as soon as I can. But let's dive deeper into what these 5 goals are to really maximize your nutrition. And this is where it starts getting hard, guys. You know, the motivation step is the easiest one, and it's the most critical one to get right at the start. The daily habit of exercise or the daily habit of movement is, again, a little bit harder than motivation, but it is much easier than this. Nutrition is where it starts getting hard. And if you don't get this right, then the 4th step, physique, building a healthy superhuman physique, is going to be impossible. It really is. You can get the look, without having a healthy nutrition, A lot of bodybuilders do it, but it's not necessarily healthy. And we want to be healthy. We want to focus on the way our body moves and feels before the way it looks, and look at the way that it looks as just a natural side effect from that. So yes, Yanni's saying yes, he did do it in order. Good. Yep, I can see that. So the first step, the lowest lying fruit for the nutrition goals, is to learn how to eat to achieve a neutral calorie balance. And what you're going to need for this is you're going to need to download one of the apps that there's so many now. I mean, when I did this 6 or 7 years ago, I was using Calorie King in Australia, which was the gold standard in Australia, but they didn't even have an app back then. I had to do it on a computer, on a website. I don't know if Calorie King's got an app now, but in Australia, Calorie King is really good because they are I can't remember exactly what it was, but they're either in direct correlation that, like, they work with the people that actually measure calories in Australia, that are doing the research to see how many calories are in what foods, or they are the people that do it themselves. So Yanni's saying bodybuilders all meticulously track and manage and control calories. Yeah, they absolutely do. Yeah, it's the first thing that you need to do is just to, like, we're not saying that you need to go on a calorie restricted diet. We're not saying that you need to that this is a long-term plan for you to be tracking your calories and your macronutrients. But until you understand, until you learn to be able to look at food and know, okay, well, that's a protein source, or that's a fat source, or that's a carbohydrate source, or that's majority carbohydrate there, or that's high glycemic carbohydrate and that's low glycemic carbohydrate. Until you start to do that, and until you start to be able to look at certain foods and think, well, that's got a lot of calories in it and I'm not getting a lot of nutritional value out of it, and so on and so forth, you're going to struggle a lot. Because it wasn't until I did this that I started to be able to, I really started questioning all of the things that I was putting in my body. Like, I'd go to eat something or drink something, and instead of just going, oh, that looks yummy, that's going to help me to feel better in this moment, I'd look at it and think, oh, my body doesn't need that. And this is one of the critical things that so many people are getting wrong. So the best way to do it is to go for 1 month, for 4 weeks, and be very, 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 very honest with yourself and very strict. Like, every single thing that you consume, put it in the app so that you can have a look and go, whoa, look at that. That's how many calories I'm eating, and that's how much protein, carbohydrate, and fat I'm eating. And you'll be able to start to develop a much healthier relationship with food once you do that, because after a very short amount of time, you won't need to just punch it in to have at least an idea of, this is a good this meal has a lot of protein and it's going to give me the protein requirements that I need. Yanni's saying bodybuilders, not only do they meticulously track, manage, and control calories, they also nail point 2. So Yanni wants me to share how I learned calories. Okay, I'll do that now, Yanni. So Yanni's saying, so point 2 that they, which I'm going to talk about in a sec, is they learn how to maximize muscle protein synthesis. They absolutely do nail point 2. So how I learned how to track calories. I got out of the army. I'd been a personal trainer for about 2 or 3 years before going into the army, and I knew 2/5 of fuck all. I really did. When I was a personal trainer in the first few years of my career, I was a joke at it. I had no idea what I was doing. I had no desire to become a good personal trainer. All it was a job that I thought would give me more time to be able to do kung fu. So I had put no focus into upskilling or getting better or anything. I went and joined the army to reevaluate, in relation to this story, there's many reasons I joined the army, but what relates to this story is to reevaluate what I wanted to do with my life. And when I got out, I decided, yes, I want a career as a personal trainer, and with my brother to open a gym, and with my friend Richard. And that made me go, well, I better bloody learn how to be a better personal trainer. So Yanni and I were talking about how can we serve our clients better. That no one was losing weight. Everybody wanted to lose weight, and they weren't. Nobody was that wanted to build muscle was building muscle, and so we aligned ourselves with a place in Sydney called Measure Up, which is a DEXA scan clinic, and they are the gold standard in Australia. Jared Mearkin, a friend of ours, is the director and founder of Measure Up, and he is the man that wrote the formulas that all of the DEXA scan clinics around Australia now use to calculate resting metabolic rate and macronutrient splits that are ideal for someone's body composition. And from there, we got our clients getting DEXA scans, and for the first time ever, people were being told, this is how many calories you need to eat to stay neutral, and then if you're going to exercise and you're going to burn off 400 calories in a workout, then this is how much you need to eat to stay neutral, so on and so forth. And the research shows that the sweet spot for losing fat is no more than a 500 calorie deficit a day, which is a hell of a lot less than what a lot of people are trying to create, which is a whole another issue. So what we did then was Yanni said I didn't have as much to do with running the business as Yanni did back then, and I still don't. We both have very different roles in the business. And Yanni said, well, our clients need calorie-controlled diets. You're going to need to write them. And I had no idea how to do it. And I said, I don't know how to do that. And he said, well, learn. And so I reached out to a friend of ours, Tony Battaji, who's got a PhD in metabolic research and a master's degree in exercise sports science. And he and a degree as a nutritionist. He's an amazing dude. And he said, go to calorieking.com and start typing in everything that you need. And man, was it hard to get the right, you'd look at foods and you think, yeah, I'm going to eat that. They'd eat that for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. That looks nice. And then these for snacks. But then you'd look at it and there was 60% of it was fat, or 80% of it was carbohydrate, and only 15% of the calories were protein or whatever. It took so much work in tweaking these diets to become something that had a good balance between carbohydrate, fat, and protein. And then, not only did I have to do that, I had to do that for diet plans from 1,200 calories a day up to 2,200 calories a day in 100 calorie increments, so that when our clients could go and get a DEXA scan and their resting metabolic rate was 1,389 calories a day, then I'd give them the 1,400 calorie a day diet. So I learned very well. It took about 6 months to do that. I learned how to understand what macronutrients were in food, and what calories were, and what kind of foods had more or less calories, and all that stuff. And it stayed with me for my life. I don't need to do that anymore. I stay always at a healthy body composition. I can very easily tell if I need to eat a little bit more. If I'm losing weight or putting on weight in the wrong spots, and it's a very valuable thing to do. What's Yanni saying? Yanni's saying should do it for a minimum of 14 days, but we recommend 28 days to really learn it. Yeah, absolutely. Minimum 14 days, but 28 days, you'll really understand it. Daily 500 calorie deficit should come from 250 calories exercise displacement and 250 calories negative calorie balance from food, which would equal 500 calories. That's a really good point, which would mean if your resting metabolic rate was 2,000 calories a day, you would want to do a workout that burnt 250 calories a day, which is actually quite hard. That's like an hour of tough training. And then you would want to only eat 1,750 calories in that day to get your 500 calorie deficit. But that's for weight loss. That's a whole nother story, okay? So that is point number one in a nutshell. Let's move on to point number two. Point number two is learn how to maximize muscle protein synthesis. This is critical. If you don't understand this, you are going to struggle. And make no mistake, if you go to the gym and you lift weights or do calisthenics or anything that resembles resistance training, make no mistake, you are trying to build muscle. That is why you are doing it. You want to be stronger and all these other things as well. But if you're just the layman and you don't have any specific goals, then make no mistake, the reason why you are at the gym doing resistance training is because you are trying to build muscle. Why? Some people might be saying, but I don't want to build muscle. I'm a lady and I don't want to have a bulky man-like physique. And I respect that. I respect that we all have an idea of what we want to look like, and some of us don't want to look like certain people. But once you're over the age of 35, you're fighting against nature to hold on to your muscle. Your body naturally loses its muscle mass on a yearly basis. I think men lose muscle mass at 0.6% of their total muscle mass every year after the age 35, and women lose about 0.9% of their total muscle mass every year. It doesn't really matter in your 30s, maybe not in your 40s, maybe even your 50s. It won't really matter that much. But when you get into your 60s and your 70s, you're really going to start to feel it. And the frailty that you see in people in their 70s and 80s is absolutely avoidable most of the time. Of course, there's certain conditions which make up such a small percentage of people, which are going to add different factors in here. But you really want to make sure that you try and build as much muscle as you can when your body can do it easily, so that you have a really good quality of life later on in life, okay? And I'm not talking about being a bodybuilder. You guys get to see me with my shirt off every day. I may be lean and I may have good muscle mass compared to the average person, but I am not a bodybuilder. If you saw me stand next to a bodybuilder, I would look very small compared to them. So that's not what I'm talking about here. But what I'm talking about is trying to make sure that you have a good amount of muscle on your body, and you understand that when you train, the training is only sending the signal to the body to build muscle. It's the way that you eat that causes the muscle to either be built or lost, okay? And if you're working out and you're not maximizing muscle protein synthesis, it is likely that you actually are going to lose muscle, because as you burn calories, but you're not replacing them with calories that have enough amino acids, like what protein is, that are going to allow you to build muscle, then often you'll lose muscle. And we've seen this so many times. We get our clients to get their DEXA scans done, and they work really hard with us. They do the same program in the gym that everybody else does, but they're not getting their food right. And they go, oh man, I've lost 8 kilos. I'm so proud of myself. And then they go and get a DEXA scan, and they've lost 5 kilos of muscle and 3 kilos of fat. And you should see how disheartened some people get. It is a really soul-crushing experience when that happens, because man, you don't want to be losing muscle. You want to be losing fat if that's if you're overweight. So, anybody said anything here that I need to know about? Yanni, you tell me, what apps should people use? You tell me, man. I'm talking on the show. Can you look some up, because I don't know what apps people should use these days. I don't know what's good and what's not. So the idea with muscle protein synthesis is that there's a lot of really good research now that shows that your body can only absorb a certain amount of protein every 3-hour window. So basically every 3 hours they've found, it's not like, the magic, like when the second ticks over 3 hours, boom, it happens. It's just that roughly every 3 hours your body can only absorb X amount of protein. And that amount of protein is about 0.4 in grams times your body weight in kilograms per 3-hour window. So for me, Richie, can you just get your calculator and do 90 times 0.4 for me? So let's have a look. I know that it's roughly about 40 grams, but I want to know what the exact calculation is. 36, okay. So for me, last time I weighed myself, I was 89.7 or 89.4 kilograms. I think that's about 195 pounds or something like that. So for me, my weight in kilograms, let's call it 90 kilograms times 0.4 equals 36 grams of protein, which means that every 3 hours I can absorb about 36 grams of protein. So what you want to be doing is you want to be aware of the foods that you eat, that you're maximizing that muscle protein synthesis. So there's different ways to do it. Because I fast normally, so I only eat for about an 8-hour window. What I'll do is the moment my refeed window starts after my training session at lunchtime, I'll immediately have a protein shake that has about 36 grams of protein in it. And that is quite bioavailable, which allows it to be absorbed into my body. It's pre-digested. It gets into your muscles very, very quickly. And I'll also eat a meal at the same time. Now, I won't get all of the protein that I'm having there. Like there will be some of it that will tip over that amount that my body can absorb, and it'll just be burnt up as energy, or it'll be pissed out. It'll give me some expensive piss, but I don't care because I want to really maximize my muscle protein synthesis. But the food that I eat is the protein isn't as bioavailable. It needs to be digested in my body. So it's not actually going to be getting into my muscles until 1 or 2 hours later, okay, which is why I do that. Then I'll have another protein shake about, 3 or 4 hours after I had that first one. And then I'll usually have a really high protein snack, something like some eggs or like some boiled eggs or something in the afternoon before I go home. And then when I go home, I'll have dinner. And often I'll even have so I'll have 2 or 3 protein shakes in a day usually. So that's muscle protein synthesis it's one of those things that you need to really look into to start to understand. Like you have to start using the app to track your calories, track your protein, figure out how much protein you're getting in these windows throughout the day. But the idea of understanding how to maximize muscle protein synthesis is the understanding that you can't backload protein. So you can't eat a really high carbohydrate breakfast and high carbohydrate lunch and snack on fruit all day, which means you've had very little protein all day. And then in the evening, have a 300-gram steak and get 90 or 120 grams of protein and think that you're backloading it and making up for all the protein you missed out on. It doesn't work that way. Your body will, no matter how much protein you have in that one meal, it will only absorb that certain amount, which for me is 36 grams. So that's a really, really important thing to understand. Even just these first 2 points on their own, those first 2 points, if you haven't really gotten your head around those two, it's not even worth looking at the last 3 yet. You really need to get your head around this stuff, because if you're not, then like you can train exactly the same way as the next person, and and if you're not getting these first 2 goals right. So if you're not understanding calories and macronutrients and you're not understanding how to maximize muscle protein synthesis, you'll get a mediocre result. Keep training exactly the same way, exactly the same. Get these 2 goals right and your body will change so much. Within a month, you'll see a massive difference. You'll see a reduction in body fat and an increase in lean muscle, which will make you feel and move better, and you'll look amazing. It's really, really phenomenal how it happens. So let's have a look. Yanni's listed the 5 best calorie counter websites and apps that he's got here. So he's got MyFitnessPal is number 1, Lose It number 2, Fat Secret number 3, number 4 is Chronometer, and number 5 is Spark People. Okay, taken from Google. And then he's shared another one, the 8 best calorie counter apps. Blakely Harney's just saying MyFitnessPal is the way to go. Who else is saying here? Blakely's saying, it always cracks me up hearing women say they don't want to get huge, as if you could curl some 10-pound dumbbells and just wake up huge as fuck one day. I couldn't agree more, Blakely. It's funny, but everybody has their fears, and I always laugh because I say, man, my genetics are geared towards putting on muscle, like almost as good as you can get. Of course, there's some people that are going to have better genetics than me, but I'm a man, I'm at a good age, and I'm a mesomorph. So I put on muscle very, very easily, and I work my fucking ass off to put on the muscle that I've got. To think that, people who aren't genetically geared towards putting on muscle as well as I am are afraid of, that they're going to put on muscle if they lift weights. Yeah, it's funny, but it's how it is. Okay, so let's have a look at point number 3. I've got to scroll back up here so that I can see it. Number 3 is learn how to cultivate a balanced gut microbiome. Eat natural whole food. So this is a really big one, and there's going to be a lot to this one. It's something that you're moving into higher level stuff, and the reason why Yanni's put it as number 3 is because everything that we've said in point number 1 and point number 2 doesn't actually really tell you what you can't eat yet. Point number 3 does. Point number 3, to cultivate a healthy gut microbiome, we start moving into the area of you need to now start eliminating this food, and you need to start including more of this food. So at the most basic level of a healthy gut microbiome is that you need to eliminate junk food. Like there's a microbiome that lives in your gut. So that's basically the microbiome refers to like an ecosystem of bacteria. And there's an insane amount of different types of bacteria living in the gut. Yanni, can you help me out here? I'm pretty sure it's like the average person has something like between 800 and 1400, so 800 to 1,400 different types of bacteria living in the gut. Is that right? I remember reading that in 10% Human. Let's have a look. Yanni, what are you saying agreed 10,000% to as well? I want to know what you're agreeing to. So, basically, the bacteria in your gut that you feed thrives. Bacteria actually only lives for about 3 days. So if you starve bacteria, it will die within 3 days. I've been told, or I've read in 10% Human, that you can't ever completely eradicate a type of bacteria in your body, or it's very, very hard to, at least, but you can starve it so much that it is not an issue, and it happens very, very quickly. But that also works against you, because the bacteria that are in your gut, as they're starving, they control your cravings, which means that if you starve the bacteria, you very, very quickly crave the food that bacteria thrives on. So what we need to do is starve the bacteria that causes problems in the body, so chronic inflammation, systemic inflammation, and a whole bunch of other terrible things. And we need to feed the bacteria so that it thrives, that fosters good health. Because bacteria also, not only does it do harm to us, bacteria is also in our gut is also critical to digestion. The way that we digest our food is actually working symbiotically with the bacteria. The bacteria eats certain parts of certain foods that we can't digest properly to allow us to get to the nutrients that we can digest properly. And if that bacteria isn't healthy, what happens is you can even be eating the right foods, but they'll pass through your system only partially digested, and you'll still get you'll still suffer from vitamin and mineral deficiencies, even though you're eating the foods that are rich in those vitamins and minerals. It's really, really amazing. And it's a really deep topic. If you want to know more of it, Yanni shared this book yesterday in the Movement Mastermind called 10% Human by Alana someone. But if you just Google 10% Human, it'll come up. And that's a really amazing book if you want to learn about the bacteria in the gut microbiome. Yanni's saying, we know our gut is home to an enormous population of microorganisms. The activity of these microorganisms modifies the chemical composition of the food we eat, influencing how our bodies use it to produce energy and fight disease. Despite their microscopic size, these tiny living things hold substantial sway over the body's major regulatory control systems, including our metabolic, immune, and nervous systems, and ultimately over our food choices and other behaviors. Absolutely, they do. And Yanni's then added, nutritional ecology is the guiding framework for integrating research across the nutrition theme. Nutritional ecology considers the primary focus in nutrition to be the interface between the organism and the food environment. This is inspired by fundamental theory from biology, including evolutionary and ecological biology, and regulatory theory, cybernetics from behavior and physiology. And then we've got a link here where it looks like where Yanni's got those quotes from. So that's point number 3, is to build a healthy gut microbiome. So then we want to move on to point number 4, which is learn how to eat to reduce or abolish systemic inflammation. And again, this is another big one. It does start in the gut. So once you've a lot of point number 4 will be taken care of if you really take care of point number 3. So if you cultivate a healthy gut microbiome and you starve the bacteria in your gut that cause problems, you will often take care of point number 4. The inflammation, the chronic inflammation that you'll be suffering from will often be gone. But again, it's another thing that you want to look into, and it's something that you can learn about really easily if you just Google chronic inflammation and have a look at it. And then the last point, this is the one that Yanni and I have been, really, really jumping on board with in the last couple of years, is to untether yourself from food and maximize cellular autophagy by practicing daily time-restricted eating. So, yeah, Yanni's saying points 3 and 4 tie in together big time. They really do. If you get point 3 right, you'll almost guaranteed get point 4 right as well. So, Richie, can you just help this gentleman out here? I'm pretty sure he's here to have a chat to me. Just tell him to wait. So yeah, point 3 and 4 tying together big time. They really are. But we have to say point 4 because it is something that you do have to actively pursue as well. For me, point 4 is the biggest thing that I'm working on at the moment. It is the number one thing that I'm leveling up, is to reduce systemic inflammation. And point number 5, to untether yourself from the need for food, it's about it's time restricted eating, which a lot of people call intermittent fasting, but it's actually not intermittent fasting. A fast is actually only begins once you go 24 hours without food. So unless you're going 24 hours without food, then it's not actually a fast. And it depends who you speak to. Like 24 hours without food is really, really good for a whole lot of health reasons. But I've heard that it's not so good for maintaining muscle mass and building muscle. You do get to a point, after about 16 hours where if you're not eating food, that you are going to work against your efforts to try and build muscle. But doing a daily time-restricted eating window of 16-8, meaning you don't eat for 16 hours and you only eat for 8 hours, has a hell of a lot of health benefits. And even if you forget the health benefits, where if you Google, time-restricted eating autophagy, you can learn all about it. But what it also does is it creates a really different relationship with food. People go... people talk about, oh man, I really need some food. And that's a real misunderstanding of what's actually going on. If you ate yesterday, the day before, or the day before, I guarantee you don't need food. You don't need it. We are designed to go for long periods of time without eating. And we actually... our senses become heightened, our reflexes become heightened, our reactions become heightened when we're in a fasted state. And we're designed that way because that's the time when we need to be able to hunt, and we need to be fast, and we need to get out there and catch some food. And a really good, my favorite analogy for this is, look at a lion. There's so much footage of lions that you can find from these decades of documentaries. But look at a lion when it's just eaten a meal, and it looks like you could walk up to it and, kick dirt on it, and it kind of go, rah, and like that'd be it. But then look at a lion when it decides to get up and go for a hunt, and when it's actually hunting, and the look in its eyes, it looks like it would cut through you, like they are so sharp and they're so switched on. And that's what you'll find happens to you when you're in that fasted state, when you're in that, like I train right at the end of my fasting period, and then I eat after that. And man, am I switched on. Like on the days that every now and then I'll eat in the morning, like on the weekends. And when I do that, I immediately go into this kind of a, slumpy state. It's really amazing how it works. Yanni's saying point number 5 is essential. Doesn't need to be fasting or time-restricted eating, just daily cognitive restraint, abstinence from food, embrace hunger, embrace discomfort. That's so true. That's the other, amazing thing about this time-restricted eating thing. It doesn't have to be 16 hours and 8 hours or, 12 hours and 12 hours. But the idea of understanding that you don't just eat just because you feel hungry. That's what, it's this old saying, right? If you want something that you've never had, you've got to do something that you've never done. And people say, oh man, I just can't get past, those hunger cravings that I have mid-morning. I just need to have a little something to get me through. Bullshit, you can't. You just haven't trained yourself to do it. And it's like anything. Yeah, you're going to go through a period of real discomfort when you learn to untether yourself from food, to say no to those hunger pains for the first few weeks, maybe even months, is a really, really hard thing to do. But if you don't, well, nothing's going to change. If you don't change anything, nothing's going to change for you. So you need to develop this different relationship with food. Yanni's saying 16-8 is quite doable. It absolutely is. 16-8, what it actually looks like, It just means that, if you eat dinner at 7 and you finish eating dinner at 7 p.m., it means that you eat your first meal at 11 a.m. So think about that. You wake up in the morning, you have a black coffee instead of a coffee with milk or sugar or anything like that, or a black tea. And then you just have water up until 11, and then you can eat at 11 a.m. Like, is it that bad, to just miss out on that breakfast? I remember it was very hard for me to do when I started doing it, but it becomes pretty easy. So Yanni's here saying the two key elements to all successful diets, PERID, are 1, practice daily cognitive restraint. 2, track calories or macros. No diet has ever been successful if it lacks either of these. That's absolutely right. And then he's saying period. That's absolutely right. If you don't practice daily cognitive restraint and you don't track your calories or macros, your diet will fail, guaranteed. And if you think it won't, you're literally trying to beat the thousands and thousands of studies that have been done on millions of people over decades. It's been proven over and over again that if you don't practice daily cognitive restraint and track calories, your diet will fail. So, yeah, Lee's saying emotional eating, yeah. Now, listen, I'm just going to wrap this up by saying everything that we've said just then is something that if you're not doing it and you decide I am going to embark on this journey, you need to strap yourself in for several months of some discomfort, major discomfort, social awkwardness. You will go through a period where your social circles will be making fun of you. I'm not talking look at you. I'm not talking about like that. I'm talking about people don't get it. People do not get what you're trying to do, and everybody wants to keep you at their level. So your friends will be saying things to you like, "Oh man, come on, it's Friday night. Like, who cares? It's just a drink, or it's just one meal." But when you're trying to clean your health up, there's always one meal. You're going to go and see different friends tomorrow night, and they're going to say the same thing to you. So you're going to go through discomfort in your social circle. You're going to go through physical discomfort. You're going to go through mental and emotional discomfort. It's a very, very challenging thing, and it is as hard as a drug addict coming off drugs. It is, or an alcoholic coming off alcohol. And for a lot of you, that's going to be you. You would be classified as an alcoholic and you need to come off alcohol. A lot of people get really offended when I say that. But if you're drinking alcohol daily, even if it's 1 or 2 glasses, and that's what you use as a way to wind down, that's a category of alcoholism. So, yeah, this point, number 3, is a tough one to get your head around. And if you don't have number 1 in check, if your motivation isn't a burning desire, if you don't have those affirmations written out, if you don't have your vision board, if you're not meditating daily, if you're not reminding yourself every single day, first thing in the morning and last thing at night, why you're doing this, it's not going to be strong enough when Friday night comes around and someone offers you a glass of wine and you have that first glass of wine and then all bets are off. All bets are off. You're going to be in that great mood, and it doesn't matter what comes out in front of you. You're going to tell yourself, it doesn't matter. It's just one night. And that's what everybody does. So, yeah, that's it. So Steve's saying hunger craving only lasts a few minutes. Yeah, that's absolutely right. A drink of water or green tea, etc., distracts you. When busy, you can forget to eat. Boredom and emotion is the main reason why we eat. That's absolutely right. Grace Clements is saying caffeine in coffee and tea binds ghrelin, which is what makes you feel hungry. Why caffeinated drinks are so good at delaying hunger. Yeah, that's right. Yanni's saying this is why step 1 is finding the burning desire. Yeah, that's exactly right. Learning to disassociate from thoughts, feeling and emotions is an essential step. Jade is saying water usually does the trick for me as well. And Grace Clements saying, if it's not daily and you have more than 2 drinks in a session, you're a binge drinker. Yeah, that's right. Which pretty much makes everyone in Australia a binge drinker. I don't know what it's like everywhere else in the world. Yeah, look, it's absolutely true, guys. This is, for those of us that are doing this, like if somebody says to me, man, God, look at the way you eat. Like it's ridiculous. Is it hard? No, it's not hard at all. It's actually really, really easy. Was it hard to switch from the way I used to eat to the way that I eat now? It's probably one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life. Without a doubt, probably one of the hardest things I've ever done. Is it hard now? No, one of the easiest things I do. It's just a habit. You change who you are, you change your goals, you move the goalposts, you set your goals into a different spot and it becomes easy. You have to change your social habits. That's one of the hardest things for people, is to understand that you have to change your social habits. Do I regret it? Do I feel like I'm missing out on anything? Absolutely not. I wouldn't do it if I did. I'd do something else. I'm not going to do anything that makes me feel like I'm missing out on anything. On the contrary, if I eat shit food, I feel like I'm missing out on something. I'm missing out on getting the body that I want. I'm missing out on achieving the goals that I want in my training, in my business, in my relationship, in my mind, So, yeah, guys, tomorrow we're going to be going into the UMS online coaching group to go deeper into this. So any of our UMS online coaching members, get your questions into that group and we'll go deeper. And Thursday we'll do that for the Unity Gym Tribe group. And then on Friday we'll be back here for Physio Friday. So until then, until tomorrow for the straight arm scapular strength workout at 7 a.m. Sydney time. Have a great day, everyone. Start thinking about your food choices. Start thinking about how you can implement this and how you can change your lives.
Health is about performance, not just body image.
You better be willing to accept what you're going to have to do to get there.
We'll start focusing on movement goals, strength goals, flexibility goals.
When you nail that skill, that's there forever.
The body image goal doesn't get you that far.
It's the consistency and frequency that's going to get you there. It's not the intensity.
There's no shortcuts to mastery and movement. Destination doesn't change overnight, but your direction will.
The gym is not the place to beat up the body that you hate. It's the place to build the body that you love.
We are the gym that teaches people how to move instead of just exercise, because we believe that health is about performance, not just body image. We are the gym that teaches people how to move instead of just exercise, because we believe that health is about performance, not just body image.